The third 1-2 finish for Vodafone McLaren Mercedes in 2007. Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis winning your second successive Grand Prix.
What a dream. To come into two circuits that I didn't know, my first time. You know, to really come out with such pace, to see the team moving forward always and being competitive. And just to see how much work the team back home, back in Brixworth, in Woking, in Stuttgart, how hard they all work to produce the car and to develop it. And they've done a fantastic job, and I'm just so thankful to them, because it wouldn't be possible without them. And the guys here, they're a great bunch of guys, and did a fantastic job on strategy, setting up the car. So really, it's a perfect team, and you know, I'm really happy I could put the icing on the cake.
And a very, very close race with your teammate Fernando throughout the race distance. You took the lead at the start, but by lap 38, Fernando was right there, and there was pressure all the way.
It was, especially the middle stint. I think the first stint, the first couple of laps was extremely close, and then obviously I managed to pull a slight gap and maintain that. And then going to the middle stint, the outlap, the first two laps were very good, and then my tyres just decided to grain, so maybe I pushed too hard on them immediately, and so Fernando was right up my tail, and it was extremely difficult. Obviously he's in my slipstream the whole time, so he would always catch me down the straights, and so whatever I gain midfield, I lose on the straight, and so it was very, very tough, but he fought very well. Very professional, and you know, at the end I managed to pull a gap, and we both I was able to maintain that gap and control the rest of the race.
As we say, your second successive win, but a win in the United States here at Indianapolis. Talk us through the closing laps of the race. Did it seem like a long, hot day for you?
It did. Obviously, it was great to see that there's a big crowd here, and they're all very, very supportive. A lot of British flags out there, which is fantastic for me. I get a lot of energy from that. But the last few laps were, it just seemed to be very long. You know, they came across the radio and said 15 laps, and I was like, okay. And then 15 laps just seemed a lifetime, especially when you're out in the lead, trying to maintain it, not to push too hard, not to damage the car. And so, but I was able to do it, and as I said, just very, very emotional.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you,
Lewis. Fernando ran one lap longer into the first stint. It looked as if you might have a fuel advantage. Very, very close on lap 38 there, as Lewis just said.
Yeah, very close. I think at the start also was very close, but I didn't manage to overtake Lewis, and from then on, I think you know, when you follow someone, you lose a little bit of downforce, and it's difficult to get the tires in conditions to push all through the stint, because you damage the tires maybe a little bit more when you run behind someone. So I think, yeah, I tried in the middle stint, and I was side by side once here on the main straight, but again, it was not enough to overtake him, and you know, the last stint was just maybe a conservative one. It was very difficult to overtake, very difficult to follow anyone. So you know, we just, I think, start thinking in the French Grand Prix.
We saw you run a little bit wide on lap 46 as well. Was that a function of perhaps the tyres getting a little bit dirty?
Yeah, it's so difficult to run behind anyone here. I think on the main straight helps you. You can gain 1 or 2 tenths in the main straight because you take the slipstream, but you know, in the rest of the corners you lose so much downforce, you lose so much time. So yeah, I think this race, I think the start was the key point of the race, because after that, I think wherever it was second, he will finish second in the race.
And if I can just ask you, how would you describe your start?
Well, I think it was good, but you know, I think we both break in more or less in the same point, and you know, the start is always risky. I remember Canada going off in the grass and losing one position, so obviously I was with my teammates, so you know, you try to overtake, but what you don't want is to finish the race in the first corner. So you know, 8 points are better than nothing. So you know, we increased the gap to Ferrari, which is one of the main things in this first part of the championship.
Congratulations, Fernando. Thank you. And turning to our Ferrari driver, Felipe Massa, third again. You probably don't want to hear that, but it looked like a lot of pressure from Kimi at the end there. You're on slightly different tyre compounds at the end of the race.
Yeah, it was a big pressure. Kimi was on different tires than me, and for sure he had better grip, better track grip as well in the end of the race. So he was able to close very much the gap. But yeah, for sure, I did a good start. He didn't, and I could manage to make a good gap there. And then he got close, but it was after the last pit stop. So in the end, it was good. Managed to keep the car on the track, not making mistakes, and just keep him behind.
And how do you feel about the race against McLaren Mercedes today? Talk us through the first few laps. Do you feel you're any closer to McLaren at this point than you were perhaps in Canada or Monaco?
Well, in the first stint, I was maybe a bit closer, but they was pulling away the gap slowly, lap by lap, making 3 tenths quicker and everything. So, and then it was difficult for me to follow. So there wasn't just create the gap, especially Lewis was going away quite quickly. And my car, I couldn't push so much because I started sliding around. So, and then I just saw them going away. So it was for sure quite difficult for us to beat them today. But it's good to finish third and fourth.
Well done. And Lewis, returning to you for final thoughts. Two of your countrymen, Damon Hill and Nigel Mansell, followed their maiden win with another Grand Prix win. You're in good company. They're both went on to win the World Championship, of course. You say you're very emotional. Just talk us through again. You've had a little bit more time to think about it. Just a couple of minutes. This second Grand Prix win of yours.
Yeah, as I said, fantastic, and really just extremely pleased and proud for the team. I would have never have thought in a million years that I'd be here today, sitting against these drivers here, and finishing, winning both races in North America. So a great leap in my career, in my life, and extremely proud and thankful for my family and to God and to the team. So.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Now, if you'd have some words from Fernando in Spanish.
Bueno, la carrera yo creo que se ha decidido en la primera curva. Quien pasase primero por la primera curva tenía muchas opciones de ganar la carrera. A partir de ahí intenté seguir a Hamilton lo más cerca posible y en la segunda parte de carrera estuve un poquito más cerca, intenté adelantarlo en alguna vuelta, pero era muy difícil ir detrás de algún coche aquí, perdías demasiada adherencia y bueno, pues muy contento porque Indianapolis era una de las carreras que tenía marcadas en el calendario porque quería conseguir un podio, era el único trofeo que me faltaba en la colección, tenía el de todos los circuitos menos el de Indianapolis, por tanto pues lo he completado, pero bueno, hoy creo que iba un pelín más rápido que los demás y he quedado segundo, por tanto un sabor un poco agridulce, pero bueno, con ganas de volver a Europa e intentar ganar más carreras.
Gracias, Fernando. And Felipe in Portuguese.
Bom, acho que foi uma boa corrida, lógico, olhando o ritmo das duas McLarens. Era praticamente impossível chegar na frente deles hoje, mas chegar em terceiro, depois de uma corrida difícil, uma corrida principalmente no final, com o Kimi botando pressão, volta atrás de volta, lógico que ele estava com pneu mole ou com pneu duro, mas tive que segurar bem o carro ali na frente dele no final da corrida. Mas mesmo assim foi um bom resultado, lógico que a gente vê o campeonato se distanciando, os dois pilotos da McLaren, mas o importante é continuar lutando e tentar melhorar o carro o mais rápido possível e quem sabe contar com algum erro da equipe rival.
Thank you, gentlemen.